My life, like many of yours, is filled with lots of wonderful things to include working, writing, creating, gardening, exercising, and cooking. Yes, cooking. I'm on a mission to change the way we see, experience, and relate to food. The concept of Sankofa reminds us to go back and fetch what was essential for maintaining a quality and wholesome lifestyle and apply it to modern day practices. So, would you like to join me at the table? Welcome to my Sankofa table. I am your host, Tia Capers, and on this program we focus on all things health and wellness. And today's show, I'm going to cook up one of my favorite meals while traveling, and it's just a veggie wrap. So this is a signature dish that I cook usually when I travel. I want to talk a little bit about what I take on my travels, whether it's local traveling or whether it's traveling, in a car or sometimes even on a plane. I always pack my hot plate and my skillet because that gives me options to be able to cook up something in my hotel room should I not be able to find a restaurant that cater to my vegan lifestyle. So if that's something that you're interested in learning more about, stick around, stay tuned, and when we come back, we will be cooking veggie wraps. Thank you.
Hey, this is Chocolate Drop with the Chocolate Box Presents and
Tia Capers of my Sankofa table.
And we want to encourage you to tune into both our programs. The Chocolate Box comes on every Tuesday at 12 noon and then again at 9 p.m. And what about my Sankofa table?
My Sankofa table airs every second and fourth Saturday of the month, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
On Spectrum Cable Channel 21 and AT&T Uverse Channel 99. So you never know what you're going to get.
Nope.
You can watch the Chocolate Box Presents or
my Sankofa table. What else?
and everyone is welcome at the table.
Absolutely.
Hope to see you there.
See you there. Bye. Welcome back. Thank you for sticking around. And as I said, today we're going to make some veggie wraps. So these are wraps that I cook typically when I'm traveling. They're comprised of just any type of wrap that you prefer. Wheat, spinach, they have all different ones on the market nowadays. I'm going to cook some mushrooms with a sauce that I just picked up, just an over-the-counter sauce. I have, for the wrap, some lettuce, tomatoes, a little bit of guacamole, and we're going to saute some onions and peppers with the mushrooms. I've also pre-cooked some brown rice, and I've also pre-cooked some black beans. Now you can use canned black beans, or you can cook the dried black beans, whatever your preference is. And for these wraps, they're very forgiving. You can throw in anything you want in your wrap. But this is typically what I travel with, as I've said before, my hot plate. So this is my double burner hot plate, and then I have 2 cast iron skillets here. I don't always take 2. Sometimes I take 2. Sometimes I only need 1. It just depends. Depends on how long I'm going to be traveling, what I'm planning to cook when I travel. Because I'm vegan, I treat this as a lifestyle. So I think ahead about what am I going to be eating, while I'm away. So these are just some of the things that I do. I pack it all up, refrigerate it, put it in containers or Ziploc bags, and take it with me where I go. Now, sometimes I just pack my utensils and everything, and when I get to where I'm traveling to, then I'll go to the grocery store and get the ingredients that I need. So I'll go ahead and get started. What I'm going to do is put a little bit of, I typically cook with grapeseed oil. So I'm going to put a little bit of grapeseed oil in the pan, probably about a tablespoon or so. The pan is already heated. I'm going to add the mushrooms. These are just sliced portobello mushrooms, and you can use any type of mushroom that you want or any type of meat alternative that you want. For me, I prefer mushrooms. So I'll add the mushrooms in the pan. And to the mushrooms, I'm going to eventually add onions and peppers, a little bit of seasoning, and I'm also going to add a sauce. And this is the over-the-counter sauce I bought You doesn't have to be any particular brand. You can make your own if you'd like. To season the mushrooms, I've already mixed up just a concoction of a seasoning blend that I typically use. So I have in here like some sea salt, well, not sea salt. I have onion powder, I have cumin, I have parsley, I think a little bit of coriander. So I've just mixed up a blend of spices. It can be any type of spice that you like. But this is pretty much what I cook this dish with when I'm making it. So just a little bit of the spice, because a lot of the seasoning and flavor is going to come from the sauce that I'm going to add in later. All right, so the mushrooms are cooking. Now I have the other pan here for when I get ready to just heat up the wraps. And for the rice, you can use brown rice, you can use wild rice. Wild rice is my preference, but for today I have brown rice. And I also picked that up, you can also pick that up from like a pre-packaged, pre-cooked, over-the-counter. I'm going to add a little bit more grapeseed oil in here because shortly I'm going to add in the onions and peppers. So I'm going to let that go. While that's going, I'm going to go ahead and cut up my onions. I've already cut up the peppers, so I'm going to cut up the onion. You can use red onion, white onion, or any type of onion that you choose. And some of this you can do ahead of time when traveling, so you can have it already done, and all you have to do is just throw everything together. All right, so I have my onions cut up. I have my peppers cut up. And because mushrooms, you can eat them raw. It's not meat, so you don't have to wait for anything to really, really cook down or bleed out or anything like that. So they're already starting to brown a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and add in the peppers. I'm going to go ahead and add in the onions. Okay. And if you need to add more oil at this point, you can. You just have to kind of gauge it. You don't want to add too much because the sauce is going to be wet enough for your wraps. You can also, when you get ready to mix up your wraps or plate up your wraps, you can use sour cream. There are vegan options out there. You can make your own. So I'm going to stir that around, get it good and mixed up. And when that cooks down some, we'll add the sauce. And believe it or not, we'll be ready just about to plate it up because we already have our black beans, which are already done. We already have our rice mixture here. That's already done and heated up a little bit. And so really, this is a dish that you can make in minutes. I mean, you can be full. Typically when I travel, I'll eat 2, maybe sometimes even 3 of these things. So by the time I get ready to go where I'm going, or by the time I go to bed, I'm good and full. So it's no problem with that. This is a dish that's not intimidating. So you don't have to be an expert to just brown up some mushrooms, onions, and peppers and put your wrap together. Now another alternative for the mushrooms would be like jackfruit. Some people like jackfruit, so you can add jackfruit in there. Now on another episode, we made bean burgers. Now there's been times that I've taken my leftover bean burgers and added in a wrap. So it's just up to you. You know, when you're in your kitchen, you make it do what it do. So this is already starting to break down as we're browning and sauteing it. So I will go ahead and get the sauce packet ready and add that right in. And again, this is just an over-the-counter sauce packet you can find at your local stores. It's probably a $2 or $3. Not much. If you want, you can use your own like taco type seasoning or sauce, and that'll be fine. Again, it's yours. You make it your own. This is just a guide to give you an idea of an alternative while you're traveling. All right, so we have our sauce in there. And we're gonna move the sauce around a little bit with the onions and peppers and mushrooms. And this is already smelling like, oh man, this is smelling so good. And again, because it's just mushrooms, it's pretty much done. No muss, no fuss. And when you're in that hotel room, it's going to be smelling down the hall, let me tell you. This makes really good leftovers. All you have to do is just heat it back up. When you're ready for it, throw it in another wrap, and you're good to go. All right, so I will let that sit there. And I already have the salsa prepared. So the salsa is done. You can use a over-the-counter salsa, or you can make your own. And to make this, only thing I did was cut up a tomato, and I diced up some red onion, and I put some lime juice and sea salt, onion powder, a little bit of cilantro, and that was it. I've already made, I had some leftover guacamole, so don't be afraid to use your leftovers. I have leftover guacamole, or you can buy this guacamole. You can buy some guacamole, and the only thing I did was mashed up an avocado and added some onions to it and a little bit of parsley, cilantro, and lime, if I didn't say lime. And then I already have some lettuce here, and I'm going to turn off the mushrooms, onions, and peppers. I'm going to go ahead and put the wrap in the pan. We don't need any oil or anything. We're just basically heating that up and toasting it a little bit. There's different ways you can toast these. This is just how I do it because, again, this is a dish I cook when I'm in the hotel. So I'm limited to what I have at my fingertips at the hotel. But this is one thing that, you know, it's a no-brainer. It works out perfectly well, and it's a staple. Matter of fact, I'm traveling this week, and I will be making these. I will be making these this week. All right, so we'll give the wrap just a couple minutes to brown, or heat up, shall I say. All right, we're getting there. Now this will feed a family. So for this, I just use one of the regular containers of mushrooms. If you're going to be feeding more people, you may want to add 2 containers. You can slice them yourself, or you can buy them already sliced up. So it makes it really easy either way. All right, I'm going to flip this over to let it heat up on the other side. And believe it or not, I'm going to get ready to plate it up. Take that one off. Now, of course, at home you want to use your tongs because you don't want to burn yourself. But, you know, always practice safety. As you can see, I have these little, I guess, grips on the end of my pans here so I don't burn my hand. But just always remember safety first. This is something fun you can do with kids. You can get them in the kitchen. I know when my kids were younger, I had an older daughter, and then my 2 boys were along the same age. So what I would do is sit them in the kitchen on a stool and let them just kind of hang out. That way I can keep my eyes on them. But as they got older, I started letting them help season stuff, help stir things. So now, they're at the point where they have a general interest in cooking, and so they cook all the time. So don't be afraid to get your kids in the kitchen with you. Let's see, all right, so this one's heating up. And we're going to flip this over. I also have a single burner hot plate that I take sometimes. It just depends on how long I'm going to be gone and what I'm going to be cooking. So I always plan ahead, and then that way you're covered. Okay. And so I am going to go ahead and start plating these up as they're warming up. Now at home, when I make this on my gas stove, I just throw these right on top of the burner and just let them toast up like that. And I like it when it has a little brown on it, so I let it toast up pretty well, pretty nice. All right, and so we have one more to heat up. And while that's heating up, I'll talk a little bit more about what I do when I travel. So excuse me one second. I'm going to move some things around here so I'll have room. Okay, so another thing I do is I pack a lunch bag. All right, so in my lunch bag, I'll have a number of things. So if I'm going to be gone for the morning, I'll have cereal packed up. And so for my milk, because I eat cereal most mornings, and I don't eat until noon. I let my body kind of rest up before I start adding stuff to it. So I'll put my milk in like a stainless steel container. And this will keep my milk cold for like maybe 8 hours or so. There are a lot of different ones on the market. I always have bottled water with me. So this is a glass bottle of water, and I typically slice lime slices in there. And I like tea. I drink a lot of herbal tea. So I have my tea cup over here, and this will keep my tea warm for hours, long time. And I have snacks. So I have a Ziploc bag with my plantain chips. Yes, I have some cookies. Ziploc bag with some cookies. And then I get some prepackaged snacks. So I have some dried fruit, apple chips, things like that. And I always bring fresh fruit. So I have my banana packed up because you just never know. And then I think I have an orange in here. Okay, and so of course I have spoon and fork, and I have my hand sanitizer in the outside pockets. Your lunchbox can be whatever it needs to be for you, and the size, whatever meets your need. And also think about how long you're going to be gone from home. Now, I carry this everywhere, whether I'm traveling or I'm somewhere local. And like I mentioned, breakfast. So if I'm going to be gone all day, like if I'm leaving the house around, I don't know, in the morning, I know at noontime I'm going to eat my my cereal. So I'll have my container with my cereal in here. I'll have it all fixed up with all my berries and nuts and raisins and coconut and all that good stuff. And then, like I said, I'll have my milk container, and then I'll be ready for my cereal. And then I start thinking, okay, well, what am I going to have for lunch? I'm going to put this back in here to warm up since the pan is hotter now. So then I'll think about lunch. So either I'll have a salad, or I'll have leftovers, or I'll have soup. In an episode coming up, we're going to make a veggie soup. So be sure to tune in every second and fourth Saturday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. But I'll have a can that'll hold my soup, so I'll warm it up before I pack it, and it'll stay warm for hours, you know, like 8 to 10 hours. So really, I'll have my breakfast in here, my lunch, and my dinner if I'm still gone all day. And that's it. I'm good to go. I'll have everything I need in my lunchbox. So it's nothing fancy, just a lunchbox. I also have an electric lunchbox. So it's one that you can plug in. It has like a hot plate type thing on the inside. You plug it in and you can heat up your food. You can have your food in foil, you can have it in a glass container. You can just sit your food in there, zip it up, plug it in, and an hour or so later, your food's warm. Now, there's been times where I didn't have anything left over to eat, so I'll take like a raw vegetable. I'll take a zucchini or squash or something, maybe even some mushrooms, and I'll cut up everything, put it in the container, drizzle a little bit of olive oil or something on there, a little bit of seasoning, cover it up, put it in the electric lunchbox, plug it in, and an hour, 2 hours, you have a nice lunch. Your vegetables are nice and evenly cooked, and you're good to go. So, and that lunchbox also has an adapter. It has an adapter for like if you're in the car, you know, for like in the cigarette lighter thing. So you can plug it in and have warm food on the go if you don't have the other containers to keep your food warm in. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a flip. Oh, it's nice and brown, just like I like it now. So, see that? Nice and brown. Okay, so while we're waiting on this one to heat up a little bit more, I'm going to go ahead and just plate up some of these. Give the black beans a stir. I've already warmed those up ahead of time. So you can just act like you're at one of the restaurants. So when they say what kind of rice you want, you already have your rice here. Well, I think I'll start with the meat. I'll start with that first. Let's see. Or meat. So today we have mushrooms, onions, and peppers and sauce. So we'll start with a little bit of that first. And then we'll go with some brown rice. A little bit of brown rice. And then we'll go with some black beans. Well, you know what? I'll go ahead and fix 2 at a time. And I'm going to turn this off because it's nice and heated up now. And I'll go ahead and flip this over because now this one's getting nice and brown. Okay? I'll flip that one over. So we'll do the same at this one. We'll put a little bit of rice. And we'll put some black beans. And I'm telling you, these things are so filling. All right, and then I'll just bring the lettuce over here. We'll go in with a little bit of lettuce of your choice. If you prefer spinach, this is a spring mix, so whatever your preference is, you go in with that. And then now your salsa. Okay. Put your salsa on there. And don't forget your guacamole. Use that same spoon. Put a little bit of guacamole on there. And like I said, if you had a sour cream, you can always put the sour cream on there. And let me wipe that sauce off of there. All right, and then there we have it. So we have our veggie wraps, and they look good, and they smell good, and they are very, very filling. So this is just one alternative you can do while traveling. And like I said, you can always add in, anything else you want to add. And I've also done this with bean burgers. So don't be afraid to try out different things for your wraps. Don't be afraid to try different types of wraps. You can make your own wraps. Sometimes I make my wraps using spelt flour. Okay. Now, I'm going to plate up that third one. Go in with the black beans, a little bit of lettuce. And I'm telling you, after you eat this, you don't need anything else. Maybe a little bit of dessert, but that's about it. That's about it. A little bit of salsa. And maybe the rest of this guacamole. Now, I wouldn't recommend trying to already travel with this while they're already made up. I would just say, you know, maybe cook this when you get there, or some things you can make ahead of time. Now, I do have a little bit of parsley from my garden, so I'm going to put that in there. I've already moved the cutting board, so I'll just tear that up and just sprinkle it on the top. Just a little bit of parsley. You can use cilantro, you can use whatever you have, or you can leave it out. It's up to you. All right, so that is it. We made veggie tacos in a matter of no time. We have made these with a hot plate and 2 skillets. And we have, we've not broken the bank. All the ingredients are pretty economical, plentiful. As you can see, we have 3. I wouldn't be able to eat these 3 today, I'm telling you. Maybe 2, but not 3. But you always have enough to share. A lot of times those wrap bags come in like 6 or 8 or 10. So, you know, get your mushrooms, your onions and peppers, your rice, your beans, and the rest of your condiments, and you're all set. So, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Again, stick around every 2nd and 4th Saturday of the month and at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we will bring you more delicious dishes. So, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time.